You want to finish late tonight and start early tomorrow? No problem. Hi, I drive charter tour coaches for a living. Our industry is very heavily regulated, as it should be, as we carry the most valuable of cargo, your family/kids/relatives. And if I fall asleep and hit your car, well, you can work it out. Now, one of the rules is after a working day, a minimum of time in complete rest must be given undisturbed by law. This time can be reduced, but only 3 times a work period, between 2 weekly rest periods, basically between your days off. Another interesting rule is by law, if your rest is disturbed, your rest must restart as though you had no rest. This will be important later. It sounds confusing, but I can have only 9 hours rest 3 times a week, and the rest must be 11 hours, minimum. Less than 11 complete hour rest period, and it's treated like I had 9 hours only, even if it's 10 hours 59 minutes. Because of this, most tour companies keep rest periods to 11 hours minimum, looking on the reduced rest as a just in case we get held up and finished late, etc. So we can start on time the next day and stick to the itinerary. Now, we worked with one tour company, I'll call them Mega Cheap Tours, and their tour leaders like to squeeze every last bit of driving out of their tour hires. Excursions to all day, some out of the way flea pit. As long as the tour leader gets a kickback, hotel to travel, then a dinner transfer, and back to the hotel at night. None of it as the itinerary stated. Most good companies eat close or in their hotel to allow the driver to rest. But for these guys, cheapest was best. And if that meant an hour there and an hour back at night, so be it. Screw the driver, we're paying for him. The reason for this is the tour leader got a kickback if they ate at the tour leader's favorite spot. And they had one in every overnight stop. I had spoken to my traffic manager about how these guys just ignored the itinerary and was told, just do what they say, they are the customers. Now, I was working with one tour leader, we'll call him Juan, well known for not only working you to death, but also stiffing you under gratuities. He collected them from the passengers on the last day as we traveled to the airport to help you, sat behind you, then placed them in an envelope. An envelope you knew was light from experience. It's the last day of the tour. Tomorrow, I get them all to the airport. And good riddance, I thought. As the passengers are in an excursion, Juan comes to the coach. We need to go here for dinner tonight. Passes me the address. I look at the sat-nav. Juan, that's an hour 15 minutes away from our hotel tonight. You lot will be eating for 2 hours, then an hour 15 back. Then I need to shut down the coach and park it. I won't be finished until about 11 p.m. He looks at me. I know the rules. You only need 9 hours rest. We will leave at 8 a.m. Plenty of time for a 2 p.m. flight. International. He was right, of course. But remember that 3 times a week thing? He had already had me on short rest 3 times this trip, owing to dinner transfers. Not 9 hours, but 10 hours something each time. This guy always pushed me to the max. It was at this point malicious compliance kicked in. You're right, I can work after 9 hours rest. I changed the subject quickly as he smiled at me, thinking he had screwed me over. Well, the dinner transfer was worse than I thought. Heavy traffic getting there meant I was late, which meant they started eating late, which of course meant they came back late. By the time I parked at the hotel, it was closer to midnight. I knew what was coming in the morning, so I phoned my 24-hour traffic department, as I was told under no circumstances was I to break the law and run without my legal rest. Massive fines for the company, and for me if I did. Normally I set 2 alarms when I'm on reduced rest, as to be honest, it takes a toll, and I need them to get up. But tonight, I set nothing, and took my phone off the hook. I went to bed. I woke up to thumping on my hotel door. There was a hotel manager and a very irate Juan. "You stupid driver, it's 8 a.m. Everyone is outside checked out with luggage, and you've slept in? Get dressed and get to the coach." I smiled. One, I'm on my legal break. We got back nearly at midnight, so I can't start to nearly 9. But besides, I've worked 3 times after reduced rest this trip, and can't go anywhere until 11 hours undisturbed rest. Also, you've just disturbed my rest, as this gentleman can confirm. I was friendly with the hotel staff. They used the same hotels every trip, and the staff hated Juan's trips, as he never tipped. Or rather, his guests did, through his suggestion, but he collected it to in hand. Which means by law my rest period resets and starts again. But you know this, as you know the rules, right? So, see you at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm cool for a late checkout, right? I said to the manager, who was nodding enthusiastically, knowing what I'd just done. Juan's eyes nearly bulged out of his head, which was funny. "Wait, what do you mean? We need to get to a 2 p.m. flight." "I know," I said. "Best start organizing taxis for the 40-odd people out there. And next trip, don't stitch up your driver." As I shut the door on them both, I knew what was about to happen. Within 5 minutes, my own phone rang. The traffic manager asking what time I finished the night before, then saying, "You can start at 9, until I pointed out the 3 late finishes. Silence. Then, "Well, you're right, but don't be expecting to do any more of this company's tours, as they will request we never send you." I asked if he wanted me to drive without legal rest. I knew he wouldn't dare say yes, as I could be recording it. "No, you must take legal rest. This is the tour leader's problem of his making. If he had stuck to the itinerary hours, everything would be fine. Just do me a favor and start at 11 a.m., not 7 p.m. We need the coach back here tonight." I knew when to not push it any further, and said I would be happy to start at 11 a.m. and would start getting ready now and go down for breakfast. An hour later, I went down and saw Juan, surrounded by angry passengers screaming at him with a phone to his ear. He saw me and came over. "Mr. Driver, please, I nor my company can get a coach to hire, and it's 40 miles to the airport, and our flight leaves in just over 4 hours. My company is mad I've not left you legal rest and blaming me. Please help me." I couldn't resist. "Juan, if you use all those gratuities you've stolen from me and everyone else over the years, you'll be able to afford to hire 10 taxis no problem, and to make the flight. But I would be quick about it. Otherwise, you might get stuck with 40-odd replacement flights as well as taxis." Juan gulped, eyes bulged, and went white, all in one. It was funny to watch, and ran to reception asking for 10 taxis. What was even funnier was the taxis showed up. They said he needed another 4 or 5 just for the luggage. Each person had 2 massive suitcases. I just sat watching the show, through my window, eating my breakfast and drinking my coffee. The staff thought I was a hero, and all smirked from their respective posts. I knew after this, no tips from the passengers were going to change hands, and the cost of all those taxis would hit his current fiddle bankroll hard. Or so I hoped. My boss was right. I never have nor will do this company tours again. It was quickly passed by. I was not wanted. But Juan has never been back leading this company tours either. My ex-colleagues, I knew my cards were marked as trouble and found another job with another charter company very easily, have told me that now the tour leaders are told by their head office to never give the drivers less than 11 hours off every night and factor this into any dinner transfers. If it can't be accommodated, then no dinner transfers and no off-itinerary excursions, period. Good for this guy, because it does seem in any industry where tips are involved, it always seems to be whoever is in direct contact with the customer gets all or the mass majority of the tips, and all the people behind the scenes who made something happen get usually nothing. "Sir, I followed your instructions, and we only have 50 minutes. I'm a licensed massage therapist, and at one point worked for a national franchise chain. This chain, and others, will have hour-long appointments, but the actual massage is 50 minutes. 5 minutes for intake and disrobing, 50 minutes massage, 5 minutes for exit interview, dressing, and room turnover. As such, we LMTs have our own timing down to an art. If someone asks for focus work on, say, their shoulders, we have a time plan to take time away from arms, legs, or feet to accommodate. I have a client come in and request a full body massage with focus on his low back. We have a plan figured out. I know where I'm pulling time from and communicated that with him, and off we go. As I'm redraping his back so I can move on to his legs, he asked me to go back and spend more time on his back. We're already 25 minutes into his 50 minutes at this point. We still have both legs, back and front, arms and neck/head to do. I tell him, and he says that's fine. Just spend a little more time on his back. So I revisit his low back for a few minutes, then go to his legs. I finish his calf and move on to his hamstrings, and he tells me to go back to his calf. I remind him of the time and his full body request. He said he knew, but his calf needs more attention. Fine, if this is how he wants to spend his time, so be it. So I redo his calf until he says, "You can move on now." And so I do. This pattern continues with his hamstring. Do that again. "Oh, you can move on." "Spend more time there." "Okay, move on." And the entire back of his other leg. When he is face up, I finish one leg, then redrape him entirely and let him know I'm stepping out so he can dress. Client: "I thought this was going to be a full body massage." Me: "It was going to be, but I was asked to keep revisiting areas." Client: "But I want a full body massage." Me: "Sir, I followed your instructions exactly." Client: "But you only finished one leg." Me: "I reminded you of the time and followed your instructions exactly." Couldn't argue with that. I don't know how we expected to get all that done within an hour's time frame. Just book more time in the future, I guess. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, maybe consider subscribing. And if you really liked it, maybe give it a thumbs up and a share. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.